Hello guys, welcome to Pit Stop. So today we are with the C3 Aircross. So this is actually Citroen's fourth offering if I'm not wrong. First we got the C5 Aircross, then we got the C3 hatchback, then we got the C3 electric, and now we are getting the C3 Aircross as well. So C3 Aircross means it's a 5+2-seater car. We also get in both configurations, both in 5-seater as well as 5+2-seater configurations, and maybe this is like, you know, a cash cow for the brand Citroen in terms of sales numbers and everything, I would say. So welcome to Pit Stop once again. So before getting into the video guys, please do subscribe to our channel and also hit the bell icon so that you will get all the notifications. Please do follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. So I'm gonna take you through the top things you need to know about the Citroen C3 Aircross. First thing first, it is definitely based on the Citroen C3 platform in which the C3 hatchback is based, but being a 7-seater, they have done a couple of modifications to the car in terms of design and in terms of the platform as well. So when it comes to the front end design of the C3 Aircross, you actually get a lowered front bumper and a slightly more premium looking face, which is actually making it look like a more bigger car, like a little bit like an SUV as well, I should say, because here you get piano black finish, here you get LED DRLs, and then you get a halogen unit for the headlamps, no LED headlamps actually, and then you get a bash plate, skid plates at the lower part of the bumper. So overall it definitely looks like a bigger car, it definitely looks like an SUV from the front. So from the sides, the Citroen C3 Aircross is actually longer than the Hyundai Creta, I should say, because it's actually slightly above 4.3 meters in length, and there you also get the best in segment wheelbase as well. So all these things will result in the interior space, which I'll take you later. But from the exterior side, from the side base, like you get the best in class wheelbase. It gets 200 mm of ground clearance. That means it's actually good to be called as an SUV because of the ground clearance. It will be perfect fit for our road conditions. And then you get a stylish quadratic 4-spoke alloy wheels, 17-inch alloys, which looks pretty matching for the size of the car. And then you get turn indicators on the side mirrors as well. So overall it looks pretty premium. And then you get dual ton roofs on the top. It's quite a big car if you take a look from the side profile of the Citroen C3 Aircross. Yeah, that's it. One thing I would like to mention is that this is actually a cost-cutting element. Same like the Citroen C3, it gets old school type door handles, which is not so cool. So from the rear, it looks even more, you know, premium, because you get a piano black finish throughout the car, and then you get the C3 badging, the Citroen logo, and then you get the most stylish element according to me is the rear tail lights. It looks very sharp actually. The cluster is actually very nice, and then you get the badging, and then you get the black bumper at the lower part, and it comes along with a camera right here, parking sensors, and then you get a bash plate kind of a treatment at the rear as well. So this element is actually pretty strong. So that's actually the overall build quality is pretty nice for the Citroen C3 Aircross as well, because we have seen it in C5 Aircross, we have seen it in EC3 as well as the C3, and now with the C3 Aircross as well, the build quality is pretty nice. And then the coolest part, the first in segment feature in any car, removable third row seats. So actually you just need to pull this lever, fold the seats down, push this belt, and then you take the seats out. So as simple as that, you can actually take and remove the third row seats of the C3 Aircross, and that's actually a first in segment feature for the any car, I would say, because this is like, you know, properly practical, because in case if you wanted to use it as a 5-seater, you can do that. In case if you wanted to use it like a 7-seater, you can still do that as well. Not just that, in case if you have a couple of more luggages, you can actually remove these seats, and there you get 511 liters of spacious boot. That is more than enough for all your, you know, touring or shopping needs. So that's about the removable third row seats. And then also one more thing for the third row, actually you get 2 cup holders and 2 USB charging ports as well. Of course the space is a little bit less when it comes to third row, but still you get 2 cup holders and 2 charging ports, and the space is fit for 2 children, I would say. If you are familiar with the C3 hatchback's interiors, this is like, you know, almost similar to that of that, but with a little bit of added premiumness, I would say, because you get the same 10.2-inch infotainment screen with wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay options. Then you get a color instrument cluster screen which displays the speed and fuel, temperature gauges, and couple of other informations at all as well. And then you get a small steering wheel which is pretty nice to hold and precise, and you get a couple of audio controls and menu options right on the steering wheel itself. And then you take a look at the dashboard of the C3 Aircross, and it gets a couple of added colors. It gets beige, it gets black, it gets a silver finish, and then you get a different sort of finish for the main center dashboard as well. So that's like, you know, adding a little bit of premiumness. And with regards to the seats, you get manual controls for the seats, driver seats as well as passenger seats, height as well as, you know, tilt adjustments for the seats. Even though the seats are pretty thin, it's very comfortable, I should say, because, you know, Citroen is like, you know, the best when it comes to comfort. So even though the driving position or else even the seating position, the seating comfort, it's simply the best, I should say. So I don't have much complaints about the interiors. Especially the front row feels pretty spacious. The view up front is very nice. A couple of elements which they could have added is that there is no rubberized pad for the mobile holder options. Then you get so much storage space. Even the door pads are having pretty spacious storage space, and a couple of other storage compartments as well, right here below the gear lever or else in front of the gear lever as well. So that's pretty nice, and this is actually a pretty nice place to be in. I don't have much complaints except the fact that you get a little bit feel of cheap plastics, and a little bit of added comfort or premiumness should have been added in terms of the materials as well, is what I personally believe, especially when it comes to these dials for the AC vents. It's looking pretty cheap if you ask me. I did mention that the C3 Aircross gets the best-in-class length as well as the best-in-class wheelbase, right? That actually reflects in terms of interior space, I should say, because if you take a look at the interior space, it's pretty spacious place to be in. You get ample amount of legroom, you get ample amount of headroom, even for a 6-foot guy like me, and the front seats are actually kept as per my configuration, and still you get decent amount of legroom at the rear. So that's one thing. And couple of other things which I would like to mention is that this is the 7-seater variant, so there are no handrest here. So if you take a 5-seater variant of the C3 Aircross, there you will get the handrest for the second row, but in terms of 7-seater variant, you don't get a handrest for the second row. That's one thing. And then you get the 60-40 split seat at the second row. That means you can actually go to the third row by folding these seats. It also gets a one-touch folding seats as well. So that's a super cool feature if you ask me. But apart from that, you get seat back pockets, you get 2 USB charging ports, you get a cup holder here, and one more evident cost cutting element is that when you want to just roll down your windows, you will have to stretch your hands, then go all the way up to here. Just like the Citroen C3, the switches for the side windows are kept right here on the center tunnel, right below, behind the handbrake lever. So that's actually a cost cutting element. They could have actually changed, is what I personally feel, when it comes to C3 Aircross, because it's like an added premiumness to the C3, right? So they could have actually changed it. So this is the roof mounted AC vent in the C3 Aircross, which is only available in the 7-seater configuration. If you take the 5-seater configuration, there are no AC vents for the rear at all, because you just get the front AC vents, and this is actually eating out a bit of space on the roof, because you feel that the roof space is a little bit constrained when it comes to headroom and all, but it actually helps a lot in terms of cooling down the third row seats pretty fast. So let's try to access the third row of the Citroen C3 Aircross. Actually, it's not fit for a 6-foot guy like me, but I will definitely make a try, right? All right. So the seating position, as we all know, is upright, and all right. But actually surprisingly, you know what, two people can sit here for short runs. I would not recommend the space for a long journey or something, but two kids can comfortably sit here, or else two adults can sit here for short runs, because you get headroom constraints, you get legroom constraints. But as I mentioned, for short runs it's completely fine. You get two cup holders, two USB charging ports, and the roof mounted AC actually cools the third row pretty fast. That's supreme actually, because if you are loading the car as a 7-seater, then the roof mounted AC vents actually helps a lot in terms of cooling. Citroen C3 Aircross drive experience, 1.2 liter turbo petrol. That means that I don't think you get to enjoy a 7-seater car this much, I believe, in this price range, because it's very peppy to drive. And it goes, wow, nice. And we are cruising at 100 km/h. All right, so definitely it feels bigger than the C3 hatchback, and the C3 hatchback turbo is even more fun to drive, I would say. But when it comes to the 7-seater variant, this is quite a bigger car, and you can actually feel the size of the car. But apart from that, you get shorter gear shifts. That takes a much of an effort, I would say, because inside city driving and all, you have to play with the gears. But out on the highways, I would say that this is like the best, the sweet spot, because if you want a bit of enthusiastic driving experience, then the C3 Aircross or else the C3 Turbo both gives you that superb feel, because you know it's very nice in terms of driving, because maybe if you compare it with the competition, or if you compare it with bigger engine, say for example if you compare it with the Hyundai Creta, it gets a bigger 2-liter engine for the petrol, and this only gets and this is actually on the cheaper side as well, right, when it comes to the pricing. The ex-showroom pricing of this particular variant, which is the top variant, is actually 12.76 lakhs, while the Creta will be slightly on the costlier side for the top variant. Of course, it gets loaded with features and it comes with a couple of other options as well. But when it comes to driving experience, one thing is that it doesn't feel like a big car. When you compare it with the C3 hatchback, definitely it feels like a big car. But apart from that, it's pretty easy to handle inside the city, not much of a fuss. And what you like the most about the C3 Aircross is definitely the peppy turbo engine. It sounds well when you rev the car. It sounds well, and I would say that this is a superb highway cruiser. You can actually thoroughly enjoy driving the car inside the city. Actually, if you love a bit of peppy driving and stuff, you will love the C3 Aircross as well. In terms of driving comfort and feel, again, you know, the C3 Aircross variant will give you that plush feel. Not much complaints to mention here, because the suspension is tuned pretty nice, and the family, when you carry your family, they will also feel comfortable, don't have much complaints, and it's very easy to handle inside the city as well. So my take about the C3 Aircross is that engine is peppy and pretty easy to drive inside the city and out on the highways, and such a nice car to drive actually. Even though it feels like a small car, it is actually not a small car. That's my take about the C3 Aircross SUV, and suspension setup is pretty nice. End of the day, it doesn't feel like an SUV, like a big SUV, but although you get 200 mm of ground clearance and it can tackle a bit of rough roads, but it doesn't really feel like a big SUV. Pretty easy to handle on your own. That's the C3 Aircross for you. So the C3 Aircross. So what's my take about the C3 Aircross is that I have explained how good the car is to drive, because it's a very peppy turbo engine. For this price, I don't think you will get a 7-seater turbo car to drive and have fun around. And with 200 mm of ground clearance, you can actually you know, do a little bit of adventure as well, but not a proper SUV, I would say, because the company would like to call it like a proper SUV because of its SUV stance and because of its 200 mm ground clearance. But when it comes to my opinion, I feel like this is it gives you an SUV stance. It takes you to a couple of places because of its very good ground clearance, but I would not call it as a proper SUV. But as a 7-seat C3 Aircross, it offers good comfort. Of course, it gets space constraints at the rear, third row. It gets innovative features of removing the third row seats, but apart from that, the cost cutting elements is what I don't like the most about the C3 Aircross. But apart from that, the engine is something which I really like. It's very peppy to drive. For this price, I don't think you get a turbo petrol engine at anywhere. That's my take. So a very good peppy engine to drive. You can have fun, you can carry your family, you can carry a lot of luggage, and pretty good to look at as well. So that's my take about the C3 Aircross. If you guys have any doubts or anything, please do comment below, or else I'm always happy to discuss as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do subscribe to our channel and also hit the bell icon so that you will get all the notifications, and please follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Thank you so much. Bye bye.